We are waking up to a raging blizzard this morning, and this thing is pretty much everything we thought it was going to be. We've been talking about it over the last several days, and here we are waking up to 2 to 3 inch per hour snowfall rates. Some thunder snow is out there, and this thing is just rocking and rolling. We're here to talk about it, and of course, we're not going to get as detailed as what we've been doing over the last several days. Just because this is a now thing, chances are you're not really looking for a video on this because you can look right outside your window and see what's going on. And if you're anything like me, you're outside just experiencing this. And, storms like this only happen 1, 2, maybe 3 times every decade. So this is a big time event. So we'll speak on it, but we're going to spend some time moving past this storm system. What's next? And I do think some of these same areas that are experiencing some wild weather right now will have more opportunities for more snow. And there could even be another potential for a winter storm. Not this big that we're getting right now, but there could be more winter storm potential on down the road. So we'll speak on that. We'll cover everything, and then we'll get on with the rest of our day. My name is Mitch. Good Monday morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below, and I will get caught up with all the weekend comments sometime this afternoon. Let's get going this morning. So this is current conditions. I mean, this thing is just raging out here. I mean, like I said, we got anywhere from 1 to 3 inch per hour snowfall rates. This has been ongoing for the last, since I would say about midnight. This is when this thing really began to really peak, I guess you would say. But we're even getting some lightning bolts here in southeast Mass, and we've had reports of thunder snow. And like I said, I know I've said it a couple times already, this thing is everything we thought it was going to be, and has really materialized to one of these higher end scenarios, and that's exactly what we're getting right now. So this thing will continue to crank up. I really think things will begin to wind down, at least slow down gradually, not automatically stop, but begin to sort of just slow down a bit from New York City down into New Jersey over the next several hours. But this thing will continue all the way through the evening for like Boston, and really crank up for areas of Maine where we do have blizzard warnings up here now over the next 24 to 36 hours, and will deliver a lot of snow to areas of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia also. Now, I do want to mention this too. A little bit closer to where I live here in central South Carolina, we're getting a pretty aggressive northwest flow snow event. In fact, it's snowing pretty far south. We've had reports overnight of snow. In fact, it probably still is snowing in areas of northern Alabama, central Tennessee, and eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina. These snow bands are breaking containment. I mean, I've seen reports. Somebody just tagged me in a post on X about an hour ago saying there's a few inches of snow on the ground near the Waynesville area. Let me know what you're seeing, but this thing is overachieving. I saw some video out of Gatlinburg. It's been snowing pretty good there, but this is just in a very aggressive storm system. So the flow and the vort, the energy wrapping behind this system is pretty intense. So, this is going to be lasting over the next 24, 36 hours or so. All right, so let's continue to move forward. And here's some updated alerts. We continue to have blizzard warnings all the way down from southern Maine, and now we have winter storm warnings that's moved to blizzard warnings all the way up into the down east areas of Maine. So this is the latest alerts, and I do want to drop it down here to say the central and southern apps, and we have winter weather advisories continuing as far south as the Smokies. Winter storm warnings up for the northern North Carolina mountains. Not a whole lot has changed down here. Now, a quick look at the latest HER model and time frames up here. So it's around 6:30 at the time I'm making this video, but we'll continue to put this in motion. And as we're getting into 10, then about lunchtime, as you can tell, it's still rocking and rolling here in New York City. I think it'll take a while for the back edge, western fringe of this snow band to sort of pull away, as this low pressure isn't just going, west to east. It's not going from here to here, right? It's kind of riding up this way. So it's going to take a while for this back edge of snow to sort of pull out. But I think by the time we get into about dinner time, snow will begin to calm down in New York City. And we'll continue in Boston, Rhode Island, Eastern Mass. And I think it'll take all the way through about midnight for it to be done for you folks. Now let's back it up and move a little bit up here to Maine. Snow will begin to overspread. Let's click this down here again. Snow will begin to take over southern areas of Vermont, I would say more so New Hampshire, throughout the early afternoon hours, and then we'll get a quick hitting snowstorm up here, and then it'll break apart, and by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, we are done. Definitely not as long lasting for you guys, but certainly willing to show it to you. Now, we're not going to get as detailed with these graphics, but this is how much snow they're expecting, and really we'll look at this. This is kind of in, let's just pull this up. Some of this is already fell. Okay, it's always tough to pull up snowfall graphics during the actual event because you don't know where it's starting. But listen, another foot of snow is possible across Long Island, New York City, and another foot and a half is possible across southern New England. So this is a snowfall forecast between, I would say, a few hours back and the rest of this event. I mean, it's just, I'm telling you, we're getting thunder snow right now across areas of southeast Mass from what I'm seeing from the radar, and we've had reports of it. I mean, just absolute, just crazy snowfall rates going on right now. And I would say, before we wrap this up, the wild thing about this is this is not a super cold storm. I mean, if you look at the temperatures, I mean, it's cold, but I mean, it's not like down here. I mean, in New York City, I mean, it's 30, 31 degrees in a blizzard. So I honestly think there's an opportunity for us to get above freezing before the sun sets tonight. I might get a break in the clouds. I'm not sure if that'll happen, but I mean, it has us warming to in the mid-30s in New Jersey, New York City. So you might actually start to melt some of the snow before temperatures plummet later tonight. So it's just not a super warm system. That's why it's been this wet, paste-like snow. But moving past this storm system, what is next? If you live in the Northeast, you probably have heard rumors about another snow event coming. And listen, those rumors are, I mean, they have some truth to them. First off, we're going to look at the Euro, and we'll start off tomorrow midday. And I mean, we could still have some light snow flying around the Northeast, not really from the storm system itself that's ongoing, but just some energy in the atmosphere with some troughing in place. And then, you know, by the time we move into later tomorrow evening, some light, moderate snow moving across the Great Lakes region, the southeast Canada. And this will eventually make its way into the Northeast. We're going to have some light, moderate snow, maybe as far south as West Virginia, higher elevations of Virginia, and just sort of a snowy day. So this is Wednesday morning. We got snow flying around the Northeast, and we continue, and then maybe a bigger system begins to develop. Like this is Thursday. We got a lot of rain to the south, just enough zonal cold air to the north up here, and the system will try to crank up and then move into some cold air. And this is the Euro. This is early Friday morning. This Friday morning, I mean, right around the 100-hour mark, guys. It's not like this is, 10 days out, and has another period of winter weather. Low pressure to the south, running into some cold air, and this brings kind of a period of winter weather, whether it's going to be snow, freezing, rain, sleet. We got to figure that one out. All the way into southern New England, and a period of accumulating snow Friday morning once again. And then we start to get into the last day of February, and we get into March, and then there's another system. And in fact, the Climate Prediction Center is flagging this time frame for heavy snow. There's a big storm system that moves in, a warmer storm system. I mean, we are getting into March, but I mean, shows the possibility for more winter weather. Is this going to be too warm for any warm weather? We got to figure that one out. And then here comes another big storm system. This is 10 days out. I think the pattern remains very active, folks. And this has potential. I think we need to watch this time frame, kind of between the day 7 and day 10 time frame. Shows another big opportunity for snow. And then after that, shows a further south scenario. I mean, this is the morning of March 7th. It's 300 hours out, not a reliable time frame. But I'm going to talk about how I think something like this is not expected, but it's possible. It shows a winter storm for the mid-Atlantic. I mean, even some winter weather as far south as North Carolina. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on something like this here when we kind of geek out with you guys, discuss the pattern itself. But I mean, it shows an ice storm as far south as North Carolina and just wild stuff. It's just very active pattern. Now, what about the GFS? What does it show? Make sure we have all the GFS. And shows that kind of midweek snow event across the Northeast, maybe upper mid-Atlantic. And then here comes later this week. It is definitely more of a wintry look here. And of course, the GFS kind of took back some of our respect. I can't speak for everybody, but it certainly took back some of my respect. So you gotta, tip your cap to it a little bit more. It nailed the storm, in my opinion, the one that's ongoing right now. But this is Thursday afternoon. Low pressure going over Virginia. On top, you got enough cold air for some snow in southern Ohio, northern Kentucky, West Virginia, the mid-Atlantic, and delivers another swath of accumulating snow Thursday night into Friday morning across areas of the I-95 corridor. shows a similar look as the Euro. And then where's that next big storm system this weekend? You don't see a whole lot over the weekend. And then you get into Sunday, and here's something that we need to watch right here. And this is getting into later this weekend. And then we start to get into, say, Monday morning. This is like a week from today, and this shows a pretty big storm system riding across the Midwest, riding across the Ohio Valley, and then eventually getting into the Northeast. And this is a time frame that we watch. This is getting into the first couple of days of March. Big winter storm showing up on the GFS for all those areas, and then eventually gets into the Northeast and delivers more snow to kickstart your March. And then we watch day 10. Is there anything like what the Euro is showing? There is not. And then, I don't want to leave you guys hanging here in the central U.S. We certainly need to watch the pattern here. And this is starting off around Tuesday afternoon, and we get this in motion here. Tuesday afternoon, and this is tomorrow. We got some snow across the Great Lakes region, and then a little bit of a break, and here comes that next system kind of midway this week. Here in the next couple of days, shows a little bit of snow across the Midwest and getting into the Ohio Valley, and then you get a quiet period. We get into the weekend, and we have some pretty cold temperatures dropping down just into the northern sections of the country, but then there's some moisture with it. That'll be some cold snow as we round off February. And then we get into March 1st, this coming Sunday, and here comes a bigger storm system. This could be a winter storm across the Midwest, upper Midwest. You can see it up here, some heavy snow, even a little bit of freezing rain showing up. Chicago, you had such a crazy start to winter with that November system, pretty active December. And I don't know, I'm not trying to speak on behalf of you guys, but it seems like since then, things have been kind of quiet the rest of winter in Chicago. I don't know, you guys let me know. It just seems like I haven't really spoke on Chicago much since the early portion of winter, but maybe I'm missing something. I know it got very active here in the South in January. Excuse me, sorry, I didn't talk about you guys as much up there, but anyways, still got to watch out for early March. And we see that system, and then we watch after that. Here comes another storm system, and there's a lot of zonal cold air, a lot of cold air to the north, but staying warm to the south. I'll give you my take on that here in a second. But then we get about 10 days out, and then things get a little weird. We start to get a lot of moisture that builds to the north, and then there's a lot of cold air trying to bog down to the south, and we get some mischief off into the eastern U.S. And then we just continue to get some wild weather, I think, as there'll be a battleground between temperatures from the north to the south. Now, we do look at the GFS. What does it show? Here's that snow event for the Great Lakes, upper Midwest area. And then we get to midweek. This is Thursday. Here comes another event. Not a big deal for the middle of the country, though. We get to the weekend. Here comes that really cold air dropping to the south. And then we get some moisture hitting that cold air. Shows that winter weather event as we're getting into March 1st Sunday. This could be a winter storm area that we need to watch out for the Midwest, getting into the Great Lakes region. Man, you got to stop doing that. That is very annoying. You keep making my taskbar pull up down here. I need to cut them alerts off. But we continue to move forward, and we get to about day 10, and there ain't a whole lot going on. It doesn't show as crazy. It doesn't show anything crazy like with what the Euro is showing. So now, looking at the Euro AI model here, and this only goes 10 days out, does it kind of show what some of the other physics models are showing? And we get this in motion here. I'll put this over here. And it does show that snow event about midweek here in the next 48 hours for the Northeast. You can see some snow flying around across the Northeast, and it immediately shows the next system behind it. And we got to watch this. It's kind of a mixture between the GFS and the Euro. It shows another winter weather event across the Ohio Valley into areas of the Northeast. And that orange is kind of a wintry mix. The blue is snow, green is rain. And does it show with what the other model runs are showing? They show a lot of cold air dropping down to the northern sections of the country, that 1040 high. That's going to bring a lot of cold air, even for late February, early March standards. And then we start to get into our March 1st, and there's that snow. There's that, moisture hitting some of that cold air, and shows this area of snow as we're getting into Sunday, Monday of Tuesday of next week, and shows some winter weather breaking out across areas of the upper mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, and not a huge event. And then we get about 10 days out, and it does show a storm system kind of like what the Euro is showing at around day 9, day 10 for the Northeast and just for the Eastern U.S., but it kind of breaks apart. I'm telling you, there's a lot of cold air bottled up to the north. A lot of cold air. Now, as far as the Euro ensemble, this is between now and the next 15 days. Shows some snow signals up here, especially for the Great Lakes region and the upper Midwest. And there's a few inch mean. And remember, this puts together 51 members, creates a mean or an average. But there's definitely a half a foot to foot snowfall mean up here in the UP and the Great Lakes region. Now, we'll switch it to the eastern U.S. and we'll have to go in 48-hour periods here. And this is our current snow leaving the picture. You'll see that signal disappear. And then you'll see the midweek signal for a couple inches of snow show up for the Northeast and the Great Lakes region. And then we move forward and it shows the later this week signal show up. Even shows an inch to 2 inch snowfall mean average across areas of the Midwest. And then it really amplifies, gets a little bit larger across the Northeast where we got a few to several inch snowfall mean. And then that whips across the Northeast. And then we get into the beginning of March and you got another signal a few days into March for another winter storm across the Great Lakes region and the upper Midwest and then New England, especially interior areas of New England and the Northeast. But it does show a little signal as far south as the Mid-Atlantic. And I mean, that could be a pretty big signal, guys. Around the first several days of March for the Northeast, you got to watch out for a big winter storm signal. And then after that, you know, everything gets kind of fuzzy. But you know, this is backed up by the Climate Prediction Center. This is the risk of heavy snow, and between the 2nd and the 6th of March, it has a slight risk of heavy snow. So they're seeing what we're seeing too. But as far as the pattern, I mean, what's going on here is you got this huge trough kind of bottled up to the north. And this trough is kind of fighting a ridge down to the south. That's going to be pretty much the pattern for the foreseeable future. And as we get this in motion, you're going to see kind of this extension of the trough down into upper portions of the country and the Northeast. This is going to continue to create an avenue. And I don't have my drawing tool up, and we're just going to rock and roll with it. I'm a little everywhere this morning, as you can tell. But this trough, a lot of our energy is going to kind of ride at the base of this trough. So as we continue to move forward, that trough will sort of, the area in blue, kind of retract back to the north. And we will have a signal right here, this kind of extension of the trough to the south. It could bring some energy a little bit further to the south and maybe a very small shot of cold air across the south and eastern U.S. But then that kind of moves away. And what happens here is we kind of have this zonal pattern. And just because you have zonal pattern doesn't mean we have quiet weather or cold or hot weather. But one thing we are seeing is, and this is getting into this weekend, big mega chungus trough up here to the north. This is just continuing to freeze up Canada in the northern sections of the country, but we have this ridge to the south. Now, I've talked about this for the last couple weeks. One thing that I don't think models do well with is handling breakdowns of these ridges, like these zonal ridges, meaning I don't think it's going to handle seeing any kind of drop of this cold air very well. We're getting about a week out. What I'm trying to get at is we could have shots of cold air that are not being modeled correctly right at this second, about a week to 10 days out. And really on this look, this is mainly a warmer look for the southern tier of the country. In the northern tier of the country, all of our cold air is kind of riding down into this area right into here. And this will keep our main storm avenue, our main storm track up here also, with some cold air to funnel into that active storm track. And that's the pattern that we kind of continue to see through the first week of March. And that's why the Climate Prediction Center buys more so above average temperatures for a chunk of the country over below average temperatures. And if you look at temperatures compared to average, you're going to see a great representation of how the cold air is bottled up to the north and warm air to the south, and how it's all kind of zonal. And as we start to get into this weekend, you're going to see very cold air up here, but, you know, around, it's not a torch, but warmer than average temperatures to the south with kind of a, like, this is a great, man, I am everywhere this morning, Monday blues. This is a great look right here. Sunday, this coming Sunday, March the 1st. There is an extreme temperature battleground between below average temperatures to the north and above average temperatures to the south. And that makes perfect sense when you look at the upper pattern for that same time frame. Like, this is Sunday, okay? And I mean, you can see a big trough. It's kind of zoned out up here. This is bringing all of our cold air down into here, but it's keeping it at the base of this trough. All that cold air is coming down around the backside of this trough. Therefore, all of our cold air stays up here, and you don't have any really dislodgements of this trough down here to bring all this cold air down to the south. That could change. That could change. There's a lot of cold air to the north still. Even though we're getting into early March at this point, there's still a ton of cold air. In fact, here comes reinforcements again. And at the very end of the run, it does show the eastern half of the country cooling back down. But I'm telling you, anytime that you have that much cold air to the north like that, you're going to run the risk of this dropping further south than what's being modeled currently. Oh, that makes sense. And then I think that's why the Euro shows, we kind of go back to the Euro right here. It shows this crazy scenario of a winter storm pretty far south right here as we're getting into like March 7th. Because it shows a scenario where that cold air kind of breaks loose a little bit further south. And I think, some of these members probably show cold air a little bit further south. And this is just the smoothed out ensemble run. This makes up 51 members. So just keep that in mind. All right, today's weather across the southeast, it's a tricky day because you're not seeing what's going on the HRRR model very well, but we're getting snow that's going to be flying around the higher elevations of Tennessee, North Carolina, points north, probably most of the day. In fact, we could have a reinforcing shot of northwest flow snow this evening. You can actually see it modeled here, kind of right here where Kentucky, West Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee come together. And in fact, it actually shows some snow showers in eastern North Carolina later tonight. And check this out. And I wouldn't bet against that. Any accumulations? Probably not. Can't rule anything out, though. But between now and the next 48 hours, several inches of snow will continue to fall. And I don't understand why they're not calling for any accumulating snow outside the higher elevations because it's already happened. So the forecast is already kind of butchered here. So we're already getting snow outside the higher elevated regions. We're getting accumulating snow. So it's kind of odd to me that they are always going to go conservative with these northwest flow snow events. And listen, they are notoriously hard to figure out. Snowfall for West Virginia, another foot is possible over the next 48 hours. Just depends on where you live. But I'm telling you, these snowfall bands are breaking containment, especially for the southern apps. South Central U.S., quiet day of weather, nothing to speak on. Enjoy your weather. The north central U.S., a little bit of a lake effect snow band popping off Lake Michigan, getting into northern areas of Indiana, delivering a little bit of accumulating snow. And then later tonight, we'll have a northern stream piece of energy that comes down. And then tomorrow morning and then to tomorrow afternoon, we'll have a band of snow that works its way through areas of the upper Midwest. And then out west, we have a system that's moving in. And this is just delivering some wet times across the Pacific Northwest and getting into Northern California later tomorrow. And we'll have areas of energy that'll just scoot across the western U.S. Temperatures across the east, it'll be cold, chilly. All the way down to the south. Temperatures will struggle to get above freezing as far south as the Cumberland Plateau. It'll be a cold day in Florida. So a pretty cold day for Florida standards for late February. So then temperatures out west, we're starting to rebound here. So that's all I got. No Bible devotion this morning. We'll get back to that. Oh, goodness gracious. We'll get back to that tomorrow morning. A little bit everywhere this morning. I think my mind is too hung up on what you guys are getting in the Northeast. I'm a little jealous. I wish I was there just reeling this epic snow in with you guys. It's times like this where I kind of wish I lived a little bit further north. I know you guys think I'm crazy for saying that, but man, I love snow a lot. But check this out. We are breaking containment with some of these snow showers across the southern tier. But that's all I got. Let me get off here. God bless y'all. All y'all have a great Monday. Enjoy your day, and we'll talk soon.